Imagine, you are on a giant airplane. The weather is clear. You just took off for a long, peaceful trip. Suddenly, just 30 seconds in the air, the massive engines outside your window go completely quiet. You are only as high as a tall building. The plane has no power. It is falling fast. Out of 242 people on board, only one single man will survive. Welcome to Mayday Central. Today, we bring you the terrifying and true story of Air India Flight 171. A brand new Boeing 787 crashed into a crowded college on June 12, 2025. But how does a modern aircraft suddenly lose engine power shortly after takeoff? When rescue teams listened to the cockpit audio recordings, they heard a very scary question from the pilot. He asked, "Why did you turn off the engines?" And the other pilot replied, "It wasn't me." Let's find out exactly what happened that day. It was a hot summer afternoon on June 12, 2025. At the airport in Ahmedabad, India, everything looked completely normal. Passengers were excited. They were getting ready for a long, comfortable flight all the way to London. The airplane waiting for them was a Boeing 787 Dreamliner. It is known as one of the most modern and safe airplanes in the world. A total of 230 passengers walked inside and found their seats. There were also 12 crew members there to take care of them. In the front, sitting in the pilot seats, were two very experienced men. The main pilot was Captain Sumit Sabharwal. Sitting next to him was his co-pilot, Clive Kunder. Both men had flown airplanes for thousands of hours. They knew exactly what they were doing. Back in the passenger area, a 40-year-old man named Vishwash sat down in seat 11A. His seat was right next to an emergency exit door. He just wanted a relaxing trip back to his home in the UK. He had no idea that in just a few minutes, out of all the passengers laughing and talking around him, he would be the only one left alive. At 1:38 in the afternoon, the airport tower told the pilots they were clear to go. The giant plane moved onto the runway. The pilots pushed the speed levers forward. The huge engines and the heavy plane started speeding down the runway. The wheels left the ground. The plane lifted up into the air beautifully. For the first 3 seconds, it was a perfect takeoff. But then, the deadly countdown began. Just 3 seconds after the wheels left the ground, the plane was flying very fast. It was going about 330 kilometers per hour. It reached a height of 620 feet. Everything was going exactly as planned. But then, something impossible happened. The main switches that give power to the giant engines were suddenly turned off. In an airplane, there is something called a fuel control switch. Let me explain this simply. Think of the airplane engine like a massive fire, and this switch is like the main water tap for your house. When the switch is on, fuel flows like water to keep that big fire burning, which makes the engine spin and push the plane forward. If you turn that switch off, the tap closes. The fire goes out instantly and the engine dies. Pilots are strictly taught to never, ever touch this switch in the air unless an engine is literally catching fire. Flight data later showed that both fuel control switches moved to the off position, and investigators began examining how and why this happened. Flight recorder data showed that the left engine lost power first, followed shortly by the right engine. Without those engines working, a heavy metal airplane cannot stay in the air. It completely lost its pushing power. A loud computer voice in the cockpit started screaming, "Too low terrain, too low terrain." This warning meant the ground was coming up too fast. The pilots had absolutely no time to restart the engines. They were just too close to the ground. Exactly 32 seconds after taking off smoothly, the giant Boeing 787 dropped from the sky like a heavy stone. It crashed right into the hostel building of a medical college. This was just a little over 1 kilometer away from the airport runway. a massive fire started immediately. In a matter of seconds, 260 people lost their lives. Out of everyone on that plane, only the man sitting in seat 11A near the exit door managed to crawl out of the burning fire. When the sun set that day, the whole country was in shock. How could a brand new, super safe airplane just fall out of the sky? Usually, airplanes do not just drop. Even if an engine stops working, a plane can glide in the air, like a bird, for a long time. But Flight 171 fell very fast. Experts from India's accident investigation team rushed to the crash site. The place was completely destroyed by the fire. They had one main job. They needed to find the airplane's black box. Even though people call it a black box, it is actually painted bright orange. This makes it easy to find in the dark dirt and ash. It is a very strong, heavy metal box. It is built to survive massive explosions, deep water, and extreme fire. Inside this box, a special computer saves two very important things. First, it saves all the technical numbers of the flight, like how fast the plane was flying and exactly what buttons were pushed. Second, it records every single sound and word spoken by the pilots. It took hours of searching through the broken pieces of the airplane, but the experts finally found it. The bright orange paint was completely burned and black from the fire. But the memory chip inside the box was perfectly safe. The investigators carefully took the box to a special computer laboratory. They plugged it in and started listening. They were hoping to find a broken wire or a computer error that caused both engines to stop. But they did not find a normal airplane problem. What they heard on the voice recording made them freeze in their chairs. It was not a simple machine error. It was something much more scary. The experts put on their headphones. They started listening to the final moments of Flight 171. The audio started very normal. The captain and the co-pilot were talking calmly. The plane was speeding up. They took off. But then, the computer data showed something impossible. The main fuel switches for both engines were suddenly turned off. Investigators found no immediate evidence of fire or structural damage causing the shutdown and continued examining other possibilities. According to the flight data recorder, the switches moved from the on position to the off position. The captain was sitting in the left seat. The co-pilot was in the right seat. Both engines shut down, one after the other. First, the left engine died. Then, the right engine died. And then, the audio recording captured a chilling conversation. Over the sound of loud warning alarms screaming in the background, one pilot asked a very angry and confused question. He shouted, "Why did you turn off the engines?" And the other pilot replied, "It wasn't me." Stop right here for a second. Two highly trained pilots were sitting right next to each other. Their plane was falling, but both of them denied touching those life-saving switches. Who do you believe? Do you think one of the pilots did it on purpose to crash the plane? Or do you think the modern airplane computer got hacked or just went completely crazy? Tell me your theory in the comments right now. I want to know what you think, because the truth we found next makes this mystery even deeper. When the rescue teams looked at the broken pieces on the ground, they found the speed levers in the 0 power position. But the black box memory chip showed that the levers were pushed to full maximum speed until the very last second when the plane hit the ground. Nothing was making sense. The broken machine on the ground was telling a completely different story from the computer data in the air. If the engines were working perfectly fine, who really killed the fire inside them? How does a switch turn itself off if no human touches it? Now, understand this deep mystery, you need to know a secret about modern airplanes, like the Boeing 787. In very old airplanes, when a pilot pulled a heavy lever, it pulled a long, thick metal rope. That rope was connected straight to the engine. The pilot had total physical control. But the Boeing 787 is different. It is basically a giant flying computer. When a pilot moves a switch today, it does not pull a metal rope. Instead, it just sends an invisible electronic message to a computer brain. Then, the computer brain tells the engine what to do. If you love learning these hidden secrets about how giant airplanes really work, hit that subscribe button right now. We work hard to bring you the true facts and simple explanations you will not find anywhere else. Now, because the 787 is controlled by computers, the people investigating the crash are fighting. They are split into two completely different sides. One side looks at the computer data. They say computers do not just magically flip fuel switches on their own. They believe a human hand had to do it. In February 2026, some media reports, citing unnamed sources, claimed investigators were examining the possibility of deliberate action. These reports said that investigators from the US and Europe believe the main pilot, Captain Sabirwal, did it on purpose. They think he turned off the fuel to intentionally bring the plane down, and the other pilot was too shocked to stop him in time. It is a terrible thing to imagine. Blaming a pilot who died and cannot defend himself is a very big deal. But the pilot's family and other flying experts are extremely angry. They completely disagree with this theory. They say the leaked reports are hiding a much darker truth. And this second side of the story points a very serious finger straight at the airplane maker, Boeing. Recently, a secret worker from inside the United States government spoke out to the news. This person said that the Boeing 787 Dreamliner has a long history of hidden electrical problems. For years, this type of airplane has suffered from computer mistakes and sudden power failures. Sometimes, the computer brains inside the plane get confused. Other pilots flying the 787 around the world have reported that sometimes the computer turns things on and off, all by itself. So, the angry families and experts ask a very good question. If the airplane is controlled by a giant flying computer, is it possible the computer had a deadly error? Could a sudden electrical spark or a bad computer wire send a fake message to the engines? Investigators examined whether any technical malfunction could have affected engine control systems. This theory makes a lot of sense. It perfectly explains the chilling voice recording on the black box. It explains why one pilot asked, "Why did you turn off the engines?" And the other pilot honestly answered, "It wasn't me." Investigators continued examining whether human, mechanical, or electronic factors played a role in the engine shutdown. But Boeing says their plane is completely safe. They say the computer system cannot do this alone. They say a human hand had to move those switches. The fight between the two sides is getting very ugly. The families want to clear the names of the dead pilots. The company wants to protect the name of its famous airplane. The fight over who is to blame has become so big that the highest court in India, the Supreme Court, has stepped in. They are now closely watching the entire investigation. They want to make sure the real truth comes out, no matter who gets in trouble. Did a highly trained pilot make a terrible and deadly choice? Or did a technical failure contribute to the loss of engine power? Investigators are still working to determine the answer. Right now, the final official report is still not finished. It takes a very long time to test all the broken wires, the burned computers, and the twisted metal. Until that final report is released, everyone is just waiting. For now. The story of Air India Flight 171 remains one of the darkest and most confusing mysteries in the sky. 260 innocent people died that day. This includes the passengers who just wanted to go home, and the young doctors and students who were just studying on the ground. Their families are still crying, they are still fighting, and they are still waiting for justice. We will keep watching this case. As soon as the final truth comes out, we will bring it straight to you. What do you think really happened up there? Is it a human mistake? or a machine error. Thank you for joining us today on Mayday Central. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next time with another true story.